Today's read aloud is actually an informational textbook. It's called Exploring Countries Australia. We're going to learn a little bit more about Australia. Australia's nickname is the Land Down Under because it lies below the equator in the southern half of the world. Australia is the only country that covers a whole continent with an area of 2,988,902 square miles. It is the sixth largest country in the world. Water surrounds Australia. The country sits between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Australia's nearest neighbors are New Zealand to the southeast and Indonesia and Papua New Guinea to the north. The nearby island of Tasmania is part of Australia. Canberra is Australia's capital. So here is a picture of the globe or the earth. The equator is an imaginary belt that goes right across the middle. Anything that's above that is in the northern hemisphere. Anything that's below that is in the southern hemisphere. And here we are. We're way up here in the northern hemisphere. And here's Australia all the way in the southern hemisphere. Did you know that Australia lies about 7,000 miles southwest of the United States? An airplane trip from California to Australia takes more than 14 hours. That would be a long plane ride. Most of Australia's cities are on the country's eastern edge. The weather is mild there. Sandy beaches and rocky cliffs line the eastern shore. The coastline gives way to hills that are green with forests and crops. Farther inland, low mountains stretch north to the south. To the west, most of Australia is dry, flat land where few people live. Australians call this huge region the outback. Here, sheep roam the grassy plateaus. Giant sand dunes spread across deserts. Some of the hottest weather on earth is in the outback. Did you know seasons in countries south of the equator are the opposite of seasons north of the equator? When it is winter in the United States, it is summer in Australia. That means they celebrate Christmas in the middle of summer. They often go on beach holidays in Australia for Christmas. Fun fact, a giant rock called Ayers Rock, Uluru, rises from the sand out of the outback. It measures 1.5 miles long and 1,100 feet high. That's a mighty big rock. It's called a monolith. It means it's one solid piece of rock. The Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef stretches 1,400 miles along Australia's northeastern coast. Colorful corals have built the reef over thousands of years. These tiny soft animals build hard skeletons around their bodies. The skeletons stay behind when the corals die. The new corals live on top of the skeletons. The Great Barrier Reef is like a city under the sea. About 1,500 kinds of fish find shelter there. Dolphins, sea turtles, and whales swim nearby. Sponges, sea stars, snails, and thousands of other small animals also live on the reef. Fun fact, the Great Barrier Reef is the only living thing on Earth that can be seen from space. Wow! Did you know the world's largest group of dugongs live around the Great Barrier Reef? These large gray mammals are also known as sea cows. They graze on seagrasses like cows graze on grass. Aren't they cute? Wildlife. Australia is known for its unusual creatures. Platypuses swim in the country streams. They have webbed feet, fur, and bills like ducks. Nearly 700 kinds of birds live in Australia. The kookaburra is one such bird. It calls sounds like a person laughing. Emus are large birds that cannot fly. They run everywhere. Wild dogs called dingoes roam throughout much of the country. They hunt and howl at night. Kangaroos, Tasmanian devils, and wombats are marsupials found in Australia. They carry their young in pouches attached to their bellies. Koalas are marsupials too. They eat only the leaves of eucalyptus trees and rarely drink water. Fun fact, red kangaroos can hop on hind legs up to 40 miles per hour. They can jump a distance of almost 30 feet in one hop. That's like from one end of our classroom to the other end of our classroom. 30 feet in one hop. Australians call themselves Aussies. They come from many backgrounds. Most of the country's 21 million people have ancestors from Great Britain or Ireland. In the mid 1900s, immigrants began to arrive from other countries. They traveled from Greece, Italy, and other European nations. In recent years, many people have moved to Australia from Asia in search of better jobs. The largest Asian groups have come from China, India, and Vietnam. Today, about 3 out of 10 Australians were born in another country. So Australia is kind of like the United States in that way. It has its native people, or the people who were originally there, and then a lot of the people who live there now are what we call immigrants, people who have come from other places. Speak like an Aussie. Australians call their mix of English and slang words strine. Here are some strine words and their meanings. Bonzer, great. Bush, the countryside. Garn, you're kidding. G'day, hello. Hooroo, goodbye. Knackered, tired. Lollies, candy. Mate, friend. Oz, Australia. Yabber, talk. Yanks, a long time. Or not Yanks, yonks, excuse me. A long time. Did you know in 1770 James Cook of the British Navy explored Australia and claimed it for Great Britain? Australia was a British colony until 1901. If you did your social studies homework, you probably already knew that. Daily life. Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, and other large cities are home to most Australians. Shops, theaters, restaurants, and tall office buildings draw people to live to the city centers. Many Australians live in houses with yards in the nearby suburbs. In the outback, small mining towns and farms lie far apart. Some families live on huge sheep or cattle ranches called stations. They might be 100 miles or more from the nearest town. Small airplanes are the easiest way to get to a store for food and supplies. Wow, can you imagine taking an airplane just to go to the store? Fun fact. Australia's largest cattle station covers 9,142 square miles. That's about the same size as the state of Vermont. So that's one cattle farm. Did you know more than 4 million people visit the Sydney Opera House every year? This famous building has a white roof shaped like seashells. Isn't that an amazing building? Look at the architecture on that. Beautiful. Where the people live in Australia. 89% of the people live in the cities and 11 live in the countryside. Going to school. Most Australians start school when they are 5 years old. They study reading, writing, math, and science. Students also learn to use computers and to speak different languages. Kids in cities and towns take classes in school buildings. In the outback, kids live too far apart to go to school together. Instead, they attend schools of the air from home. Students watch and listen to their teachers on computers. They email their homework to their teachers. Wow, it's kind of like we're living in Australia's outback. They do remote learning too. Wow, School of the Air student, School of the Air teacher. Wow, maybe we should just pretend that we're living in the outback of Australia as we do our remote learning. Working. Most Australians hold service jobs. They work in places like hospitals, schools, restaurants, and government. Mining is a big business in Australia. Workers dig up coal, diamonds, lead, gold, and many other minerals. More than half of Australia is farmland. Farmers grow wheat, sugarcane, grapes, and many other crops. They use most of the land to raise cattle and sheep. Factory workers get minerals and farm products ready to ship all over the world. Fun fact, men who work on cattle stations are called jackaroos. Women are called jillaroos. They're all called roos for short. Did you know? Australia has about 90 million sheep. It is the world's largest producer of wool. They have way more sheep than people in Australia. It says where people work in Australia. Manufacturing jobs, those are places where they make things. Services, where they take care of different things. And farming. Playing, we always want to know how people play. Australians enjoy many activities in their free time. They go to movies, watch TV, listen to music, and visit friends. Most people live near a beach where they can go swimming, snorkeling, and boating. Surfers can catch big waves. On weekends, many Australians go camping or hiking in the bush. Sports are a big part of Australian life. In summer, people play a bat and ball sport called cricket. Popular winter sports include soccer and a type of football game called rugby. Australian rules footballs, or footy, is a rough, fast-moving game. Crowds love to cheer for their favorite footy teams. Fun fact, Australia has more than 10,000 beaches. That's more than any other country in the world. Did you know? A netball, a game which, like basketball, is one of the most popular team sports in Australia. Food. Most Australians enjoy grilling and eating kangaroo meat. Australia has recently started sending the meat to other countries. Fun fact, Vegemite is popular in Australia. This salty, bitter spread tops crackers and bread. Many Australians eat it for breakfast. Australians eat a wide variety of tucker. That's what they call food. Meat, potatoes, and vegetables make up many meals. Australians enjoy grilling beef, chicken, and seafood on the barbie, or barbecue. Immigrants brought many new dishes to Australia. Greek, Italian, Chinese, and Indian dishes are popular. Many Australians enjoy strong black tea called billy. They snack on hard cookies called Anzac biscuits. Lamingtons are a sweet treat. These small sponge cakes are dipped into chocolate and coconut. Those look good. Lamingtons. Holidays. Australians come together every year on January 26 for Australia Day. They celebrate the day in 1788 that the first British settlers arrived. There are picnics, parades, and fireworks. Anzac Day is April 25th. On this day, Australians honor soldiers who fought and died for their country. Christmas and New Year's Day are summer holidays. Many people welcome the new year with barbecues and beach outings. Throughout the year, the communities all over Australia hold more than 1,300 fairs and festivals. People gather to enjoy music, dancing, and games. Did you know every year on Australia Day, one person is chosen as the Australian of the Year? Wow, that's kind of a cool tradition. Aborigines. Aborigines were Australians' first settlers. They have lived in Australia for at least 40,000 years. Long ago, Aborigines were divided into hundreds of groups. Some groups farmed the land, others walked from place to place to find food and water. Today, only about 2 out of every 100 Australians are Aborigines. Most live modern lives in large cities with other Australians. Some, however, still live in small communities on the lands of their ancestors. Their unique art, storytelling, and music are still an important part of Australia's culture today. So if you think back to when we talked about the Native Americans of our own country, it's a little bit similar to the Aborigines of Australia. They were here first, just like the Native Americans were first in America, and then the immigrants came and joined them later. So they have some different traditions that were here long before the immigrants ever came. Did you know Aborigines once hunted with flat curved sticks called boomerangs? They threw boomerangs to stun or kill animals. Some boomerangs changed direction and returned to the thrower. Fun fact, Aborigines invented a musical instrument called the didgeridoo about 1,500 years ago. Many modern musicians still play this long, loud horn made from a hollowed-out tree trunk. Didgeridoo. Some people believe it is the oldest instrument in the world. pretty amazing. Fun facts about Australia. Australia's flag. Australia's flag is blue with a small British flag in the upper left corner. A seven-pointed star lies below this flag. 6 points of the star stand for Australia's 6 states. The last point stands for the country's territories. On the right side, 5 stars make the Southern Cross. This group of stars can be seen in Australia's night sky. Australia has used this flag since 1909. Official name of Australia. Commonwealth of Australia. Area, that means how big it is. 2,988,902 square miles. Australia is the 6th largest country in the world. The capital city is Canberra. Important cities are Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, and Hobart. The population is 21,515,754. That was back in 2010. The official language is English, though not the same kind of English we speak. National holiday, Australia Day, which is January 26th. Religions, there's lots of different religions. Christian, unspecified or no religion, or other, but it looks like a lot of people are Christian in Australia. Major industries, that means the most of their businesses. Farming, manufacturing, mining, and services. Natural resources. Coal, natural gas, uranium, iron ore, diamonds, lead, gold, opals, timber. The Australian opals are really beautiful. Manufactured products. Food products, chemicals, machinery, transportation equipment, and steel. Farm products. Cattle, dairy products, wool, wheat, sugar, fruits, and nuts. Unit of money. Australian dollar, the dollar is divided into 100 cents. Just like our dollar, it's divided into 100 cents. But it looks very different than ours. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Australia.